Welcome back to the Irish Mags Show, episode 111. My name is Paul. I'll be your host for this week, and I am joined by the inevitable, irreplaceable, we do have no subs. It is, of course, Alan and Krisho. How are we doing, lads?
Not too bad. How's yourself?
Well, we're still alive and kicking. Probably more life out of us than perhaps out of Newcastle United in recent days, which we're going to talk about. Lads, quick bit of trivia. Episode 111. If we were a Newcastle United player who had made 111 Premier League appearances, random guess, it could be anyone. Who would you go for?
Stephen Carr.
Stephen Carr and Craig Bellamy. The answer is Alan St. Maximin, who has 111 Premier League appearances.
That's who we need
for Newcastle United. That is who we need. I tell you what, he dug us out of a lot of holes in the past. I wouldn't mind him at all. But we're going to get to that.
Yeah, we're going to get to that.
We're going to get to that because as we record this, we are about a week away from the end of the January transfer window. We are not long after Newcastle United's dismal, disappointing, and ultimately could be costly 2-0 defeat at home to Aston Villa. So we're going to just break that down, especially with a massive game against PSG looming on the horizon. We're going to spend more time talking about that, lads, because I just think it'll be more fun. We might even take a little trip down memory lane because it's not that long since we played and beat PSG in the recent past. And then we'll be also just taking a quick look ahead of that because we have some massive events happening in the Irish Mags community with the Liverpool game, who themselves have been struggling of late, which is delicious to see. Even though we're struggling, it's just tasty to see them struggle as well. But let's not beat around the bush. Alan Williamson, you were watching Aston Villa. Were you watching it in the Bleecker Street bar? Obviously, you were at the PSV game with Emma, and she brought her luck there. She obviously didn't go to the Aston Villa game, and it's all Emma's fault, basically.
Yeah, it's all Emma's fault.
Yeah, okay.
Pretty much.
Fair point, well presented.
Yeah, PSV game was great, brilliant. I said to the lads walking out, great result. That they're arguably slightly better than the Championship side, but they had beaten Liverpool 4-1. They played the most chaotic football I'd ever seen in my life. It was just nonsense. And I said, this is great. We go out and play shit against Villa on Saturday. It means nothing. We went out. We didn't play shit. We just didn't play well. There was nothing going. Really, like we did 2 chances, one after 15 seconds for Tonali, and did we have another big chance, really?
No.
I don't think one off the top of the head, but the header from Miley. We did. We 2 chances. Nothing really. I was very disappointed. Like, created very little. Villa didn't have to be at their best. Villa kept us at arm's reach, scored a goal, and we're like, right, well, we just need to soak up pressure now. The midfield for that second goal for us was abysmal. I don't know what was going on.
I mean, it wasn't our worst performance, but it was a poor performance against a very strong side. And Krisho, I left that game, I watched that game, and after it was finished, I just couldn't get away from the fact that was Unai Emery 1, Eddie Howe 0. And yeah, it just felt like Emery had a plan to not only how Villa were going to play, but to how to counter us or how to stop us from doing anything. And they just forced us to do the same thing. They forced us to play the ball out wide. They were happy to press. They looked like a more energetic team, even though they had played a match in Turkey. And we had an extra day or two to recover from the European games. I couldn't help but feel Unai Emery was never really breaking a sweat, bar obviously the opening minute when Sandro nearly scores. And if he scores, maybe it changes the game. But Krisho, was that your thoughts in terms of tactically?
How many times are we going to say this if we just would have took that chance or we just would have scored that goal? The masterclass started from minute 1 when Onana was marking Joelinton.
Yes.
Onana hasn't played in, 9 or 10 games, I think. And he's got his first start, put in against Joelinton, and he stuck to him like super glue. He annoyed him, he poked him, he kneed him, he elbowed him, he got him riled up, he got him discombobulated, if you will. Joelinton was like a rabid Wolverine going around, spit coming out of his mouth. He was all over the shop. Now, don't get me wrong, that's sometimes, like we've talked about before, it's called for in games, sometimes it's not called for. Massive thing here, the Onana thing. Onana was all over Jolinton. So it disrupted our midfield, left a lot of gaps like Swiss cheese. And like Alan said, in the second goal, they just walked straight through us, right? Tonali, again, he's got a lot going on. Maybe he does have long COVID or something, but he's certainly not working at 100% Tonali. He's working at maybe 85% Tonali. He can't be everywhere all at once, all the time. And not when you're possibly not fully, I wouldn't say fully fit, but mentally or physically fully fit. And this, like you say, we were saying just before the podcast started, we didn't play poorly. I guess we didn't. I mean, positives for everybody listening. Botman was good. Che was good. Pope had one of his best games since the League Cup final. Some quality saves. But we're getting right up to the final third, and we're running completely out of ideas. And it's happening many, many games now where there is no real change. We're not winning headers at corners. We're getting crosses in, but there's nobody there. I'm not sure what height is Wissa. Is he 5'9", 5'8"?
Yeah, he's only an inch taller than me. I don't understand why when Voltemata is on the pitch, we don't cross the ball, but when Wissa is on the pitch, we cross the ball. It makes no sense. Like, I don't understand it.
I think as well there's an imbalance. I feel like, you know, as good as Barnes is and as good as Gordon can be, and particularly coming off the back of the Champions League game where they both scored. Like Alan, you made the point, PSV were poor. Like they actually handed us some goals and they gave us the ball back. Aston Villa, Premier League teams just aren't going to do that.
No.
So I still don't think it works with Barnes on the right. And a couple of times there was different WhatsApp groups I was in, and it was, you know, Barnes was almost a second striker sometimes, which fine if you're trying to get more people in the box. But then we just had this massive open space on the right. And Miley was trying to get out there, and then that was leaving gaps in midfield. Trippier doesn't get up there quick enough anymore.
No.
I just feel there's no balance there. And then we resort to kind of just really rudimentary, like, let's just try and cross the ball and hope that we'll get ahead.
I would have loved to have seen Barnes on the left, because that's is our most informed player in terms of scoring and assists and so on. Play him on the left where he wants to be played. He was clearly frustrated against Villa. You could see he was pushing defenders. He was fuming. He was. Put him on the left and then put Elanga on the right. Give Elanga a chance on the right. This game at home, the crowd have responded to Eddie Howe calling out, like, support the guy. He got a massive cheer when he came on. Play him from the start. Leave Gordon on the bench to be an impact sub in the second half and catch a tired Aston Villa on the hop. It's like as if the one thing I'm finding is that, yes, people are complaining. Yes, some people are losing their heads. But there is a lot of really good quality commentary coming from the fans where people are saying, look, there's 2 or 3 little changes here that he could make that I think will probably improve, because, you know, don't get me wrong, he's watching them every day in training and he's the manager. But, you know, Newcastle fans are very educated about what they're seeing. And it's quite evident that the front three, there needs to be... No, there is that, right? Not everybody.
Not all of them, but
not all of them, right?
Some of them. And not us.
The front three aren't working. No matter what combination, really, you're knocking it around. Yeah. And if Elanga, like you said, Al, would have scored that goal against Villa in the first game of the season, we might have had a different player, and it would have been quite difficult for him to pick who was going to play on the left. But Elanga, Barnes, and Voltemata. But Voltemata, I'm afraid, lads, is crumpling like a wet piece of paper. He's not doing well, and he's getting put on. He's getting the ball hit to him, either very fast or hospital passes. He's trying to do his best, and he's just getting surrounded. He's all gangly and getting surrounded. He's getting pulled apart.
Yes, that is a point. Gordon and Barnes were poor the other day. Elanga hasn't done anything. What's Voltemata meant to do? Take on 11 players by himself? You cannot single out one particular player to go, oh, well, he should have done this. That's not right. And like Voltemata done, when he was scoring goals for us, we were all thinking you were at the signing the best striker in the world. To go polar opposite so quick. The bloke has 7 goals this season for us. That's not a bad return for a 21-year-old in his first Premier League season. And there's still 3 or 4 months to go in the Premier League. He has looked good. Yes, he didn't look great when he came on against Villa because he was so isolated. But that's a problem of the tactics. That's not him not trying, because when the ball does go to his feet, he looks very, very good. We need to find a way to get the best out of Nick Voltemata. and we're just not doing it at the minute.
It's actually very interesting, Paul, and it's been said. And if you look at it, and then another kind of comparison, Onana, Hammer, and Joelinton, and if you look at the front three of Villa versus the front three of Newcastle that game, where Watkins was up top and Rodgers and what's his name, the guy that scored?
Buendia.
They kind of came in a bit and they went out a bit wide and they came in a bit, whatever way our midfield was sitting, whereas our guys are just flat, sitting there waiting out in the wings for Hall or Miley or Trippier to pass them the ball. And then they're maybe doing a little bit of jiggery-pokery and trying to get a cross in, and there's nobody there. There's just nobody there. Whistle was getting balls knocked into him, 12 foot in the air. I mean, give me a break. I mean, the guy can jump, but he can't jump that bloody high. And I just, Pau Torres was just like, this is easy. Boom, knockout. Boom, knockout. And I just found like there's no fluidity. And I'm starting to think, are the lads, like, is it kind of tactics fatigue? Are they coached into lack of confidence in terms of what they're doing? They're ticky-tacking it out on the right, ticky-tacking it out on the left, giving it to Gordon, and then it's coming in, and there's nobody there. There's just no midfielders there attacking the ball. We're not attacking teams. It's like as if we're getting stage fright. We're going to the final third of the game, and we're getting stage fright, and then we're losing the ball, and then we're chasing ourselves. And I'm starting to get a little bit concerned about it now, and I think a lot of people are making a right point that Eddie Howe needs to come up. Like we said last week, Eddie Howe needs to come up with something different.
I also think there's an issue with a lot of players. This isn't a squad of 15 players, being used in equal measure and building cohesion. There's a lot of cameos. There's a lot of substitute appearances. There's still this sense of Eddie Howe has preferred 11s and favoured players. So hindsight's a wonderful thing, right? But you could look back and you could go, well, we started that game with Ilanga, Ramsey, and Voltemade on the bench. Three of our biggest signings in the last window. And we're then expecting them to drop into a game where we're not playing great and Villa have all the momentum to ask them to go and turn the game around, which is a lot harder to do. As opposed to looking and go, right, well, how can we make these players be integral to what we're doing, as opposed to hoping they'll change it through a moment of brilliance. So it's just not happening. I do also feel like Jacob Murphy is injured, so he doesn't want to play Voltemade, because it's almost like Eddie Howe thinks, well, Voltemade would probably only score if Murphy's swinging across, because that's Murphy's game. And if you think about, we haven't seen Voltemade start a few games, it kind of coincides with Murphy's injury. Now, I'd like to think Eddie Howe is much smarter than that, but it does set off some alarm bells, because like you said, with Wissa on the field, we're trying things that would work better for Voltemade and vice versa. The other thing then, just on the Jacob Ramsey point, I actually thought he was quite good when he came on. Whereas I think Trippier there was a lot of moments where he was struggling. So again, you could ask yourself, would we be a bit more adventurous and creative and taking responsibility by playing Miley at right back and bringing Ramsey in to be a bit more adventurous? Sit Tonali back, because Tonali isn't showing his passing range. He isn't showing his attacking kind of movement, getting in those positions. Obviously, he's brilliant for that in that first minute. But outside of that, we didn't see that again. So then you're kind of thinking, right, well, how can we actually get more support and play more creative through balls, channel balls, playing off the shoulder, like the likes of Gordon or Barnes or Wissa, they want those balls threaded through. Miley did a couple of them, in fairness to him. He did one in particular that was brilliant. But that's only one in an entire game. Bruno probably would have done 5 or 6. You'd like to think Ramsey has it in him to do more. Again, I don't want to be Captain Hindsight, but it's just a bit frustrating that we're just kind of forcing the same issue and then later rinse and repeat, like for like substitutes. And we're just trying to really force what it just doesn't look like is going to come, especially against a team and a manager as strong and as confident as Aston Villa. And it frustrates the hell out of the entire fan base.
Just on Ramsey, I was all for that until I seen an alternate angle of the second goal that Villa scored. He is standing 25 yards out from goal with his hands on his hips and doesn't even remotely look like he's going to try and track back. He is not an Eddie Howe player yet. And by that, I mean he's not the super mad intense where he's going to go running for 90 minutes. He hasn't gotten to that yet. And that's why I don't think we're going to see a whole heap of Ramsey until Probably next season, which is mental to say.
So
Yeah,
the counter argument is we're chasing the game when we're 1-0 down, and he's a player that's been brought on to do that. So, you know, if he's like at the end, if we're losing at the end and that happens, you know, you wouldn't expect Ramsey to be back there anyway, really. Like, considering we're trying to go up and score a goal and you're putting a lot of players forward. But I totally get your point. Eddie Howe will look at that and go, yeah, well, you're not going to do what Joe Linton will do for me. Now we're in a situation where Bruno's injured, Joe Linton probably could be injured, and Eddie Howe now has to rely on these players. And is he going to go and play Ramsey, or is he going to go, well, I know what Joe Willock will do for me. He won't really do anything that changes the game, but at least he's safe. And again, it's just, we're not giving any of these players confidence, or we're not utilising them, or we're not building them into our tactical play and our phases of play and our build-up. We're instead hoping they'll just do something in a moment of brilliance, or we're throwing them on as a kind of a hit and hope strategy. All of it's a mess. One thing I can't get away from, lads, and it's been said by pundits, podcasts, on the TV, on social media. We don't win a game without Bruno. Alan, are we really? Is that where we really are after all these years? Bruno's been here how long? And we're still in a position where we're not going to win a game without Bruno Guimaraes.
No, because we beat Arsenal in the Cup semi-final last year without Bruno, so it's a moot point. We don't win games in the Premier League, yes, but I'm trying to be very kind here when I say this. We used to have to bring on Sean Longstaff, and we're now bringing on Jacob Ramsey, or bringing in Jacob Ramsey, etc. Something will give eventually. We will get a win without Bruno because he was not here for the entirety of Newcastle United. Let's be honest about it. He won't be here for the entirety of Newcastle United, so we will eventually get a win without him. But there does seem to be a bit of a mind block or something that we're going, oh, we don't have our best player, we're not going to do well. I thought the midfield was bypassed for large parts of the game against Villa. It proves how integral Bruno is, but it also proves how far away from, I hate saying it, the other top six sides, how far away from them we are. Because at the end of the day, if you take 3 or 4 players out of Villa starting 11, they don't have the replacements like we don't have the replacements. But if you take 3 or 4 players out of Manchester City, Chelsea, they will feel it, yes, but they're not going to feel it to the extent that we feel it. We only have 2 world-class players, 1 maybe. I'd put Tonali in it along with Bruno. But after that, we are relying on very good players, where the rest of these teams are talking about players of elite stature that we do not have. And when we're replacing these elite players, the step off is so big that it's causing massive detriment to the squad. Something will change eventually, but that hoodoo has to be nicked ASAP.
Just on Alan's point, like without Bruno, it's kind of a hoodoo that we can't play without our best player coming through midfield. I think that has been sitting on us since the start of the season, where, I mean, obviously Isak had done, I hate to say the name, but Isak had done so well up front. He was such an outlet, making such great runs. He was always at the end of all the different formational, tactical things that we did in midfield to score goals. And I think it took a little bit of a chunk out. You know, they were looking up top thinking, oh, Jesus, let's get behind the new guys. But Wissa coming in and being out for 75 days really hurt. Isak going really hurt. And the players that we bought, they're all good quality. There was good money paid for them, and they haven't repaid the money that was invested in them, apart from Chow, I believe.
And is that the players, or is that we're not getting the best out of them? Like, an example would be Brentford, who sold, obviously originally lost Ivan Toney, kind of replaced and filled those gaps with Mbeumo and Vissa, lost them both, and suddenly have your man Igor Thiago come in, and they've managed to fit him in. Granted, he was there last season, but he was injured, but he wasn't training with them. But they've managed to look at his strengths, assess what he can do, and get the most out of him in terms of how they're feeding the ball into him. Doesn't look like we're able to do that with either of our strikers. Voltamati has been fit for the entirety of it. And
they changed how they play, though. We don't. We are still playing as if
we have
up top. Nothing has. You could look at how we're playing against Villa and look back 2 years ago how we played against Villa, and you'd nearly be able to put the 2 pictures on top of each other and go, it's the same. Very, very little has changed. And in football, there's no such thing as being stagnant. You're just dropping down. everyone, it's constantly having to evolve, otherwise you're just going to drop down. And at the minute, Eddie Howe looks like he needs a bit of a tactical revolution or evolution just to get us out of this little bit of a funk. But it has to happen soon, I think.
Like he was asked. He was
no
asked
reason to believe.
Yeah.
Like there's no evidence to suggest he'll do. I mean, granted, one game this season he played with Sat and Voltamati together, and then just gave up on it again. There's no evidence, Crusoe, like to suggest that he will actually change anything and he will take a gamble or a chance.
Well, like he got asked about like signing certain players or getting a playmaker in this, that, and the other, and he's like, "Look at everybody. That's great, guys. Thanks for letting me know that. But look, we have the players we have. I'll just keep coaching them and just keep trying to get the best out of them." Now, again, like we were talking about that Einstein quote about keep trying the same thing until you get a different result. Now, look, we have said it, and we're going to be on the cusp of this. We've been on the magical positive wave all along now in our podcast history, but I'm afraid, lads, there's a wave coming crashing down, because if Eddie Howe doesn't start getting the best out of some of these signings, 244 million worth of signings, and start maybe changing things around a little bit. The amount of people on the Irish Mags group that called the 3 substitutes on the 60th minute, it's like as if Eddie Howe had an alarm set on his watch to make those 3 subs. And yeah, throw these on, this will change it. No, it didn't. It didn't do anything. In fact, it probably made it a little bit worse. Apart from Alanga, God bless him, trying to make some runs through the middle. At least somebody was trying to make some runs. But the question about the playmaker, it's so unusual. He seems so stubborn. No, I know what I'm doing. I know what I bought. Leave it with me. And again, I think he deserves the credit, because like we said last week or the week before on the podcast, he did get left in a terrible position during the summer where he was just basically thrown. You may look after the club and all the recruitment because we've messed everything up. So we've got to give him a little bit here. So I'd be more kind of inclined to be with Al that we might start to see the best of some of these signings next season, when they've had a bit more of a break and he can get more tactics going. But he does need a new coach, or he needs somebody to come in with some fresh ideas to help him out.
I think you're right, because other teams are coping. Right, we're now in a bracket. If you look at the Premier League table, we're not in the bracket. We're no longer in the bracket with Man United and Chelsea and Liverpool. Like, granted, it's not a huge gap, right? But we're more closely aligned with Brentford, Fulham, Everton, Sunderland, Brighton and Bournemouth. Like, these teams have all lost big players and carried on and adapted and changed. Even Bournemouth, like, they've been up and down, granted, but they just lost Semenyo. They lost like 4 of their back 5 or whatever it was in the summer, and they adapt and they maneuver. Now, we're supposed to be a bigger club than them and have bigger pockets, but at the end of the day, we're not adapting to like that original point. We're still just trying to do the exact same things, and we're not getting good football out of players who have shown they can play good football in the Premier League as well. So look, we could talk about it all day, but the one thing I want to finish on before we hopefully look ahead to some more fun anyway, whatever about the result that'll happen in Paris. But the big question for both of you lads, just in a one-line answer, do you think that Villa result and the culmination of the Wolves and dropping points and lack of variety, Eddie Howe's comments, with 1 week left in the window, do you think anyone in the upstairs of Newcastle is tempted to say, look, we can afford someone, shall we bring in someone to see can we change our fortunes? Alan?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's got...
Who are we going to bring in, or what do you think they might do?
Ederson from Atalanta. Tentatively linked today, but he would be the difference of a midfielder that I'd like to see come in. He's a similar ilk to Joe Linton. A hell of a lot more reliable to being in the squad, because Joe Linton hasn't been in the last little while. But he's also a little bit more progressive, and he would allow Tonali or Bruno to push forward, because he'd sit. He would just go, okay, I'll just run around kicking people and tackling people. That's what I'd like to see come in. Could cost you 40 million. But if it costs you 40 million and he gets you 10 points more than we thought we were going to get, and we end up sneaking back into the Champions League, it's a massive 40 million.
Crusoe, same or different thoughts?
It's if Crystal Palace sell Wharton to Liverpool, I think they will go and bring in Joe Willock, which would be I don't know what that would be, 10 million, I don't know, 12 million maybe, same as Longstaff or something like that. If that happens, gentlemen, I do believe we will buy a midfielder. Yeah, and it's around kind of saying with Al. My one that I was calling out when we were discussing before the start of the podcast was the wee man Uzan Khan, or Khan Uzan, the half Turkish, half German guy. This guy, like I said, we need some more left-footed people in the team, like we were talking about, Al. We've got Dan Burn, we've got Hall, and we've got Botman. We don't have any real attacking people with, left foots. And I think that this young lad is very highly rated, and I know you Championship Manager nerds are loving this guy. So we need to bring in some youth. We need to bring in some youth. He's not inexperienced. He's played games. You know what I mean? He's not like some newbie from the under-21s or something in Germany. We need to bring in some youth, somebody exciting, somebody to kind of perk up the kind of, because it's starting to get a little bit dull and a bit stale. The word I heard a lot over the weekend was stale. And I know I wanted to say it, but this static tactics that's happening, we've got to move on from this, because we're going to get stuck, and we're going to get stuck. Like people are saying, oh, look, at the best we can hope for is 9th or 10th. We should be happy with that if we do all right in the Champions League, because we'll be out of the cups in the next week. That kind of way. I'm thinking, God Almighty, is it really gone? Like, talk about winning the League Cup and then going down to like 9th and 10th is okay. 9th or 10th is okay.
I guess it's just when the performances there's nothing to inspire you to think we can do more. You can only really base your judgment on what you're watching. And we get a big win against PSV, and we think, oh yeah, well, we're actually really good, but they were just poor. And they were poor. That centre back they had, the fellow with the pony, was awful. Like he was just shocking. So it doesn't really tell you much. But if you peel back that, and then you think, well, we just about beat Leeds. We scraped through against Bournemouth in the cup. Like there's poor performances there. And that's where that I agree with your sentiment, Christian. We do need to bring we need to bring in Hatem Ben Arfa. Do you know, is Can who's in maybe he's the the reincarnate of Hatem Ben Arfa, but there is a spark we need. And like I said, you look around the leagues, other teams have these slightly more exciting players, like younger, fresher players, unknown quantities to an extent, but they are bringing a spark. You've got your man Krupi at Bournemouth, who's he's come in again, another player from Football Manager, but he's 18, 19. Nobody knew what to expect from him. There's no pressure on him. And he comes in and he just expresses himself. Yasin Ayari, he's after doing it at Brighton in the last few games. These are players that are, low risk, low price signings with high potential that you can bring in and actually surprise people with, and we don't do that.
We don't have enough money headroom wise to risk go out and spend 30 million on, I hate saying an unknown, but like I'm going to use Buadi, the current Football Manager wonder kid. Go out and get him for 25, 30 million. And if he flops, everyone will be like, well, that was a waste of 30 million. Why did we just go out and sign someone that is going to... And you're going, we are never happy is the easiest way to look at it. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. But something does need to give.
Who's this Rayan fella that's going to sign the
Brazilian fella?
Yeah, nobody has ever heard of him, but everyone's up in arms because we're not spending 35 million quid in him. Like, give me a break. Nobody knew who he was before some Globo Twitter account started saying Newcastle were slightly linked to him. You have to remember as well, agents, Twitter accounts will just use Newcastle to try boost a bit of information or boost a bit of traction about a player. Yeah. And I don't believe everything you read on Twitter.
The oldest trick in the book. Eh?
That's it.
Look, I think Paul, I think the owners, like specifically post Villa, right? If you look at the run of fixtures we have coming up, I do think that there would have the likelihood of signing somebody would have jumped from about 40% to probably around 75%. I do really think
the problem we're in now is that we're running out of time, and the clubs start to see you as becoming desperate, and it just puts you in an even weaker negotiating position than coming into it on the front foot a couple of weeks, like 2 weeks ago, in a more planned approach. But look, we'll see what happens in the next week. There's so many games, it's even hard. Like, I mean, I'm sure Eddie Howe can't even think about it. There's just so many games. It's just on to the next game. There's very little they can do on the training pitch. And that's probably going to be a good segue onto our next focus topic, because we are going to have a chat about PSG As it stands, lads, we're about 48 hours away from taking on the Champions League defending champions. And before we get into what we think our chances are, I think we should have a little trip down memory lane. But let's take a quick break to calm ourselves down and try and get a little bit of positivity. We'll be right back. The Irish Mag Show is proudly sponsored by The Half Volley and FSH Training Limited. The Half Volley provide high-quality, customizable clothing and merchandise catering for all sports teams, businesses, social clubs and events, including, of course, the Irish Mags, with a new range available over on their website, thehalfvolley.com. FSH Training Limited offer a wide variety of training across the fields of fire safety, first aid and manual handling. All of their trainers are frontline emergency service workers with extensive instructing experience, ensuring realistic, professional training. All of their course options and details are available on their website, fshtraining.ie. Welcome back to the Irish Mags Show. Lads, let's talk about the Champions League because, let's face it, Newcastle United are good in the Champions League. As it stands, we are in the top 8. And given the fixtures we've had, especially when you include the fact that we had Barcelona, we had PSG in there, granted we haven't played them yet, to be 7th of that top 8 right now going into the last fixture, which is a very difficult one. I think all of us probably would have collectively taken it. There were moments where you could look back and go, wow, could we got something against Barcelona? Quite possibly. I think we actually played pretty well, even the Marseille game. But we have put ourselves in a position where if we get something, obviously a win would guarantee it, but a draw could see us go through in that top 8, which would be a huge bonus, at least to just not have extra games to play because we have enough games to play.
Yes.
2 years ago, Alan Williamson, we did play PSG. We had them in the group in the old Champions League format. Everybody remember that? This is only a year ago that it went away, but we had PSG in the group. I think it's for me, I don't know how you feel, lads, in our modern history, barring the League Cup win, that game at home against PSG has been one of, if not my favourite moment as a Newcastle fan for the last, since the takeover. And I've grabbed a couple of clips, which hopefully YouTube won't come after us for. But just to sum up what happened on that night, we're watching that game unfold. Longstaff score. Miggy opens the scoring. Longstaff scores. There's the crazy goal with Dan Byrne where there's the longest VAR check ever. And still to this day, I'll never get the image of Dan Byrne. Once the VAR is done and the ref gives the goal, and Dan Byrne, an unbelievable moment, an unbelievable result. And I guess it's a good way of thinking, look, we have shown, and Eddie Howe has shown,
we are capable
to go up against a team like PSG, who at the time had Kylian Mbappe on the field. They had future Ballon d'Or winner Ousmane Dembele on the field, Hakimi and Mendes, and we absolutely outplayed them. Now, granted, it was in St James's Park, but it was just an unbelievable result. And you have to look back at it and think we can do that again.
I hope you're not coming to me with that. You can go to Al with that because I've got something to tell you there in a minute.
We owe them something from the last time we played in the Parc de France.
The refos, Al. I tell you that, the refos.
Yeah, we were robbed blind the last time we went to PSG. So I'm hoping Eddie Howe just walks in and says, right, all you just have to do is avenge the ghost of 2 years ago when we came here and we were robbed blind. A point is a massive point for us. That is horrible to say. I hate always got to take a point, but yeah, I'd absolutely snap the hand off you for a point here today or on Wednesday because PSG are a different animal. I hate saying it, but they are one of the world's best.
Well, look, gentlemen, if you look back at PSG's last 5 Champions League games, right, they bet Leverkusen 7-2. Everybody who's listening, you did hear that right. They bet Leverkusen 7-2 with 10 men, right? Then they lost to Bayern Munich 10 men, right, which is just a jump, a space of 10 days that happened, right? Then they got another person sent off down to 10 men again against Spurs, and they lost 5-3. Then they drew 0-0 with Club Bilbao, who we bet 2-0. So it's like he could have. They bet Spurs 5-3, right? And then they lost to Sporting Lisbon 2-1. So they drew with somebody that we've beaten 2-0. And then somebody that we drew 2-2 with, Leverkusen, they bet them 7-2. So you wouldn't be betting on this match, I can tell you anyway, because nobody really knows what PSG could turn up. You know what I mean? They could turn up and score bloody 4 goals in the first 10 minutes, or we could get under their skin and hopefully Bruno's had a bit of a rest and his ankle isn't so swollen that he can get them going. I really don't believe he's going to be playing. I don't believe he's going to be playing. I really don't.
He's absolutely not going to be playing.
That turn he did on his ankle was
yeah, he rolled it. Yeah.
Oh wow.
No, I don't think so.
Horrible.
I think you're right, but you are right, Kershaw. This is not the same PSG. You know, they are the reigning champions, but this season they have been a lot more inconsistent, which is great to see. Even in the French league, like they're 2 points clear. But the likes of Lens and whether it's Marseille, or, you know, there are teams keeping up with them. There are teams taking points off them. There's every reason. Again, you just made the point that Sporting went and beat them in the Champions League just a week ago. So it shows it can be done. Now, obviously, we're going to their ground, which just does change the dynamic. We haven't been great away from home, lads, but for the season, Alan, like, if ever we're going to get up for something, because we weren't up for it against Villa, we weren't up for it against Wolves. You know, even PSV, they were more poor than we were amazing. If ever there's a chance to get up for a game in terms of we're going to press the hell out of it, we're going to have the intensity, we're going to have however many fans will be in there behind us, as well as all the fans watching, to put it up against a massive team in Europe. This is why these players play football. This is why they moved to Newcastle. They wanted to play Champions League football against the best of the best. They could go out and make a name for themselves here and put themselves in some serious history books, not just Newcastle. But the question is, do they have it in them?
If they don't have it in them, they shouldn't be professional footballers. Simple as. You do not play football and then get to the biggest game potential of your season and go, oh, well, I don't actually want to play in this as to the hype that I want it to be. Like, I'm going to say something here. If Tonali wants to get a move to Real Madrid or Barcelona or someone like that, go out and put performance in and show you can do it against these sides. If Gordon, if he wants to move to Liverpool, go out and prove that you're good enough to play for Liverpool. These are the types of games where you have to put it in. Don't get me wrong, like, beating PSV is brilliant. But if you're going to go out and you're going to do it against the best of the best sides. We are great at when we have a bit of a chip on our shoulder, we'll go out and prove he's wrong. It kind of feels like that. But then again, it also kind of feels like PSG could come out and blow us out of water, be it 5 or 6-0, and we go, that was kind of cool. We could see that coming from a mile away.
Batterously. Because, let's be honest, guys, we have won some games, right? But it has been very poor. Sorry, okay, poor, not very poor. It's been poor, right? We scraped a few wins at home. You know, other days we probably would have lost those games. We were lucky to get through Bournemouth in the FA Cup. You know, I can't even remember the last time we actually played really quite well. I'm trying to maybe Everton 4-1, yeah, away. And there's something we have lost certain. You know, there has to be something kind of mentally, like in terms of leaders in the clubhouse. You know, people to kind of G people up, have a bit of crack. Those videos have dropped off, I tell you, the lads having the crack at the training ground and everything else. All those little elements. You see your man Matt, the club liaison guy, he's going to UEFA. So there's a lot of different changes that have gone on that I just feel like that there's a little bit, there's no mention of anything to do with, you know, stadium plans have changed now. They're just going to do a bit of upgrade on Benton. There's a lot of different things that are, I feel like it's a very, very difficult environment, even just from the snippets that you get. And I think that the players are feeling it too. And I really, really do believe that we're not really going to get to see what Eddie Howe has built with the new players and who he brings in the summer until obviously next season, because this is the transition season. And even we're doing well enough, but we probably should be doing a lot worse, Jim, in terms of our standings. Really, I mean, like the proof's in the pudding. How could we be 7th in the Champions League and, you know, nearly 10th in the Premier League? Are the players that we have only putting their best foot forward in the Champions League rather than the tough games we have in the Premier League away to Brentford or whatever?
No. If you put every single Champions League team into the Premier League, half them would nearly be relegated. Like, most of them in the Champions League are not up to the standard of a Premier League side. So that's one side of the coin. The other side is, team in transition, as you've said, it's just something isn't right. It'll take one thing to click, and I'm sick saying it, but like if someone gets a goal, it hits off their arse and it ricochets into the top corner, the corner will be turned, and we will see the Newcastle of old. But we just need to see that finally happen, because it's getting to the point where it needs to happen, or we're in trouble.
You're looking for a bit of luck, right? I mean, even, you know, I don't think many goalkeepers are saving that Sandro Tonali shot against Villa within that first minute. Martinez had a blinder of a game, and he's a big unit of a goalkeeper. So, like, you're looking for those luck moments where instead of it being blocked or not going in or being saved, that you get that early goal or you get that fortune. But you create your own luck as well. And again, it's just throughout the season, have we been creating our own? Have we been earning the right to get that luck throughout the season? You could argue no. At some point, you'd like to think it has to come, and we're all waiting for it to come, but it just hasn't been coming. But look, if there's ever a time to do it, to try and just spark a fire, you know, you look at, and I hate talking about Man Red, even though Chris Show's a big fan. You know, they've been in the dregs, and all of a sudden they beat the team who was first and the team who was second in the Premier League. Do you know that, like, there's an element of luck there, and you earn your luck as well. You know, keep trying and you get good goals. We've just not seen it from ourselves yet in terms of that moment this season. Maybe PSG away in the Champions League is that. I know there's not a lot of confidence out there.
Oh God!
But let's see how confident you lads are, because I'm going to ask you for a prediction starting with Alan Williamson. What's the score going to be Wednesday night in Paris?
1-1 draw.
Ooh.
It wouldn't be the worst result in the world, I guess. That would put us on 14 points. As it stands, I mean, somehow Tottenham are 5th in this Champions League, which just shows you how weird the league table is. But would that be, it wouldn't be automatically enough to keep us up there. It would depend a lot on other results. But you would expect there's like 9 teams on 13 points that someone's going to win and go ahead of us. So I don't think a draw would get us in that top 8. But at the same time, it could be worse. It might put us in a good spot in terms of that knockout round. Chris, do you have any more confidence than Alan, or are you actually more pessimistic than
if PSG are on it, and the referee's had a good rub down from his UEFA friends, I would say it's going to be 4-1. It might even be 4-1 at halftime, for Christ's sake. But PSG will destroy us, and it'll be a real tonic for you on Wednesday night, all of us. If PSG aren't on it, and the referee has been told to do us a favour to get rid of the ghost of 2 years ago, it'll be a deliciously entertaining 2-2 draw.
I have 2-2 as well. An optimistic 2-2. I think that this PSG side can be got at.
Yeah.
And I still think we can force errors. I think our best chance is to make them have errors in defence. You know, Marquinhos is still playing for them in centre back. He was massively at fault for one of the goals in that 4-1 win. So I think we can get at them, but it does require us to be a lot more cohesive and cutthroat when it comes to that front three, depending on who starts. I mean, really quickly, lads, is it Visser or Voltamati who starts? Because you have to assume Eddie's going to go to 4-3-3.
Voltamata.
For sure.
It has to be Voltamata. It has to be.
Barnes, Voltamata, Elanga start for me.
Interesting.
He's gonna play. He's gonna play Gordon, and he's gonna put Elanga on and Voltamata. Elanga's gonna get a start, and then he's gonna get taken off after 13 minutes for doing nothing.
That's the optimism we love, that we want to see as well. Only time will tell. There's injury concerns, so it's going to be interesting to see how Eddie Howe lines up. But yeah, massive game. All eyes are on Paris Wednesday night. Alan, there will be a meet-up taking place in Dublin for this one, the Bleecker Street Bar.
There will indeed. So if you're anywhere near Bleecker Street Bar, which is on Dorset Street in Dublin, come on along and join in the madness, as we always like to say. But yeah, anywhere around that. And then I'm going to throw it back to yourself, Paul, because I believe you're doing something this week, are you?
We'll skip ahead. We don't know. We find it hard to look past the next game no more than Eddie Howe does. But just to plug it out there, I mean, it's been well publicised. We are having a massive National Irish Mags meetup in Galway of all places. It is a Saturday night against Liverpool, another away game, which is taking place in Anfield. But we, the Irish Mags, along with a bunch of the Connacht, Galway contingent. The Dublin contingent, we have people coming from Cork, I think Limerick and Clare, and as far as Sligo, Mayo, everywhere. Hoping to have about 25 of us. We don't really know yet. And that's taking place in Screens on the Square. So it's literally at the top of Ayr Square. It's about 1.5 minutes walk from Supermax in Ayr Square. You can't miss it. And it's about 4 or 5 minutes from the bus/train station. So yeah, if anyone's interested, the details have all been on the screen here as we've been mentioning it. It's on the Irish Mags website, WhatsApp groups, or just get in touch. But Screens on the Square, probably from about 6 that we will start to filter in. Kickoff is at 8 p.m. Yes. Looking forward to it. Pints to be had, drink sensibly, etc. There's also a meetup as usual in the Bleaker, Alan.
In the Bleaker for that, yeah, there is. I'll be manning the Bleaker because I'll be doing well to get down to the country with a 5-month-old baby screaming the gaff down.
That's fair enough. I mean, you could just kidnap the baby and bring the baby down to go. Just be fine. Yeah, great.
Time away I want sometimes, you know yourself.
This is your time away. This is your time away now.
I just need someone to babysit me, lads. But anyway, look, that's we'll reconvene on next week's pod to see how that Galway meetup went. Right, lads. Before we wrap up, I have a little quiz for you, just to see if you're awake ahead of this PSG game. There are 12 players who have played for both Newcastle United and PSG on this list I have in front of me. Not all of them strictly played like first team appearances for both, but there are 12 who were on the books of both. I would say you should know all the names, but I'd be impressed if you can get 10 of these between you lads. 10 players out of 12 who played for both Newcastle United and PSG. And as usual, just like, in golf, we give a little bit of a handicap to Chris Shaw. We let him go first.
I like the way you use the word handicap. It's such an unfortunate word. It really
golf.
Is. Right. Johan Kabay definitely played for both. Did we sell him?
We sold him to them.
Sold him to them, yeah.
We did indeed. We did sell him. He played for Newcastle between 2011 and 13, and then we sold him on where he played 50 games.
How much did we sell him for, lads? We bought him for 4 million. How much did we sell him for?
30 million. Yeah.
30. Yeah.
Good sale. I'm going to go with someone who scored one of the best goals at St. James's Park, but was one of the worst footballers of all time to ever wear our jersey. Fabrice Pancreat scored an absolute worldie against Watford. I think he came through the ranks at PSG, maybe, because I remember when we signed him, we've signed a former PSG player. I was like, ooh, and then I seen him play, and I was like, what the hell did he do to get a contract at PSG?
Fabrice, I believe it's Pancrate or Pancrat. Not pancreatitis. Fabrice Pancrate did come through at PSG, was there from 2004 to 2008 before moving to Newcastle in 2009. And as Alan said, scoring 1 goal in his 16 appearances. Great shout. Chris Shaw.
One of Al's favourite players. Also played for Man City, Sylvain Distin.
Great player.
Sylvain Distin. Good shout. Yes, 38 games for PSG in 2000 before moving to Newcastle in 2001. Played 28 games. Alan, back to you.
Gini Wijnaldum left Liverpool and went to PSG, didn't he?
I had forgotten this, but you are correct. He did indeed. He played 40 games for Newcastle in 2015, and in 2021 played 38 games for PSG. And I'd forgotten that. Shout. 2-2, the Desmond. Show.
If you want to call it sexy, because he is David Ginola.
David Ginola is correct. We did sign him from PSG, I believe, back in 1995. 18 appearances for PSG, 65 for Newcastle. Was devastated when he left. Still haven't got
devastated.
Over it.
Yeah, neither have I. We need him. We need a player like him. That's what we need.
Left foot.
I think we might have signed this player from PSG, or he had just left them. But he came to us with absolute bags of potential and was brutal. David Rosenhall.
There's so many of these players.
Oh, yeah.
Came with potential and they were brutal.
Yeah.
David Rosenhall, I didn't realise, played 84 times for PSG. Now, it wasn't the PSG as we know them now. It was probably like the pre-Qatari PSG.
The poor man one, yeah.
Yeah. But you're right. He played for them 84 appearances between 05 and 06 and then moved to Newcastle in 07. Played 21 times. 3 for 3, lads. Chris Shaw.
I mean, we're staying sexy, so let's keep going with it. One of the greatest, silkiest, laziest footballers that we've ever had, but craziest, Hatem Ben Arfa.
Hatem Ben Arfa is correct. Signed for Newcastle in 2010, played 79 times, and was with PSG in the 16-17 season. Played 30 matches. Great player. The streets will never forget Hatem Ben Arfa.
Never.
Alan.
Starting to struggle now. There's two lads whose names I can't really remember who I think might have. Did Robert play for them?
Laurent Robert signed for Newcastle in 2001 from PSG.
Oh, lovely. That was a stab in the dark.
It was a good stab in the dark. He played 70 times for PSG and 162 appearances for Newcastle United. That's 8, lads. Can we squeeze 2 more out of you between your respective brains?
I've only got one left. Maybe Al has one left, but I mean, I'm keeping it sexy. I'll be honest with you. Sexy left back. He might have even played a little bit of left wing. I don't know whether you remember him. Didier Dummy. I mean, he wore that jersey. He was class, this guy. I mean, obviously I'm being hellaciously sarcastic, but he did a job for us, I think, at left back.
He did a job for us 59 times between 98 and 2000, but prior to that, I think he had 2 spells at PSG because he was there from 1995, it seems. He's made 84 appearances for PSG as well, so it is correct and gives Crisho a 4-3 lead. Alan, no pressure. Sorry, 5-4.
He played in the FA Cup final, didn't he? He did play in the FA Cup final.
I think he did.
Yes, he did. He told me, my God in heaven. A 5-4 lead for me? Come on.
Alan is sweating here with the last penalty kick of the
shootout. Sorry, Al, I win 5-4.
Alan Goma.
Alan who?
Goma, isn't it?
Goma?
I think we want to sign him for. Do we sign him from Everton or sell him to Everton? Something about Everton is sticking out in my head about him.
So Alan Goma, I thought he went to Fulham from Newcastle, but you could be right. You could be mixing him up with Pistone. He played 35 times for Newcastle, but did he play for PSG in 1998 30 times? He certainly did. 5-5, lads. Wow, you've got 10. So that you're missing 2 players, one of whom never actually made a first-team appearance for PSG, but played 50 times for Newcastle, is a manager currently. The other player, I don't even really remember this fella at all, to be honest. I'm trying to see if he has a surname, because it's only down as having a first name. So I'm going to give you a clue. The first player I mentioned there, lads, and it's open to the floor, was a right back.
Habib Bey.
Habib Bey is correct.
Yeah, that was another one I was thinking.
At PSG. Yeah, he was on the books at PSG, never actually made a first team appearance, and then he joined Newcastle in 2007.
He was a good player for us. He was a good player for us.
He was. Now, lads, I'll buy a point to either of you who can get this one, because I do not remember this player, and if any listeners do get this, throw it in the comments, whether it's YouTube or Spotify, or tweet us or email us, or get it on the socials, get it over to us in WhatsApp. Lads, I don't even know this player. His career path was, so he was at PSG. Sorry, I'm doing it the wrong way around. He was at Deportivo La Coruña. And in 1999, he joined Newcastle United. Apparently, he made 8 appearances for us before going back to Deportivo La Coruña. I don't even know if it was a loan. It might have been a loan. Then he went to Benfica, and then he went to PSG in 2004. And lads, I have no recollection of this player, and if I met him on the street, I wouldn't know.
It's not Albert Luque, because it's way too early. That's the only one I can think of from Deportivo.
He played more than 8 times as well, didn't he? I mean, he was failure.
He was just
I can confirm it was a loan.
He scored against the Macca's.
You know who it is?
No idea.
No.
I'll put you out of your misery, lads. Helder is what he's listed as on the website I use, FBref, but it's Helder Christovau, on loan at Newcastle in the 99-2000 season. I do not remember him.
Wow.
There you go, lads.
What?
Completely random piece of trivia for you to take to your graves and never ever need or use or recall on again.
There's an answer for the Christmas quiz next year.
Absolutely. That Crisho will not get for its shade.
Yeah.
Helder Christovau.
I'm writing it down now.
The streets have already forgotten him, but if
He
you
was
know,
a
you
centre
know.
back. He's a centre
He's a
back.
centre back. Played for Portugal at Euro '96. It would seem totally.
Bobby
accurate.
Robson signed him for £500,000, and he made 12
It's listed
appearances.
it's listed as a loan. Maybe it cost that much as a loan, but
No, the loan fee was
Genuinely.
£500,000, and he
Yeah,
scored
yeah.
1 goal in 12 appearances.
That was an expensive loan back then.
would have been
And
back then. Yeah.
I tell you what, gentlemen, he scored in the 2-2 draw against Sunderland in the Tidemere Derby in February the year 2000.
I was 7. That's my excuse. What's your
He scored the
excuse?
equaliser. He scored the
Elfness.
equaliser. Yeah, but
I was
remember anything.
13. I was 13. I probably had my first pint that year, so I'll put it
Yeah,
down to that.
fair.
I don't even remember what age I was.
Children shouldn't be doing that at that age.
Drink
Right, well, on that
responsibly,
absolute irresponsible bombshell, that brings episode 111 of the Irish Mag Show to a close. Meetups galore, lads, Dublin, Galway in the next few days, and plenty more to come. We will be back next week to talk about PSG and Liverpool and Galway and everything that's gone on. Because by the time we record next, lads, the transfer window will also be closed. Will there be a surprise to talk about in results or transfers?
Episode
Or just
112 is going to be
general
depressing.
Yeah.
Might be a tough one. But stay with us. Make sure you're following, liking, subscribing. Check out all the socials below in the description. And check out theirishmags.com. All of our latest photos and content. Everything you need to know is up there. Next week is a big one, lads. Until then, thank you, Chris Show. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, everyone, for listening. How are the
Thanks,
lads?
Paul.
Slán, go fall.
Slán a
See you
bhaile.
all very soon.
Thanks,
Take
Paul.
care.
Good luck.